Hello friends, welcome to Star Explainer. Tales of Herding Gods Part 327 and 328 explains based on novel. So let's start explanation. Luo Wushuang's small boat left into the distance. An incomparably terrifying Yudu devil Qi came from the river surface behind him. Even if he didn't turn back to look, he could also imagine that terrifying sight that was behind him. It was like the most terrifying and malicious devil god that was crawling out from another world, tearing apart everything in this world with his boundless strength, swallowing everything that it could eat. About Son of Yudu, Zhehuali did not hide this information from him, which was why Luo Wushuang immediately retreated when he felt a bad feeling. Teacher Luo, Zhehuali, on the ship, a disciple asked carefully. Luo Wushuang's face was as calm as still water. He looked at his empty sleeve and the pain of his severed arm came searing back again. The pain reached into the depths of his heart. 40,000 years ago, High Emperor Overlord Body severed one of my arm and today, he has severed my arm again. Luo Wushuang closed his eyes and suddenly opened them again. He said softly, Zhehuali had walked out his own path. On this path, he will not be walking with us, instead, he will be running in the opposite direction. I had thought that he was my right arm, and never did I expect. From today onwards, you have to be careful when meeting him, you will have to fight to the death and not spare his life. He has entered the path with the knife Dao, and has very strong abilities. His future achievements would be extraordinary. The turbulence on the river surface calmed down. Crimson Light Son of God, first ancestor human emperor, and village chief was still slightly terrified. The scene earlier was too frightening and made them shuddered. The river was dyed red and the two visitors from the celestial heavens had died so fast that it was out of their expectations. It was still fine for Qin Mu, as he took out a willow leaf to paste on the heart of his brows. He ran over to the side of the river to check on the progress of human emperor Qi Kang and human emperor Yi Shan. Zhehuali, what has happened on the ship, is it real? Village chief asked. Zhehuali nodded his head, and he described everything that had happened on the ghost ship. Everyone had an astonished expression, and Crimson Light Son of God felt a lingering fear. He glanced down the river, and the ghost ship had already vanished without a trace. Ancestral Dragon King and Feng Qiuyan entered the ghost ship, their life and death are now unknown. Village chief felt a warmth spreading in his heart. Mua risked his life to save me, and he has managed to solve something that even the four deities couldn't. He has really grown up, and he is also very confident. About the truth of the Overlord body, it already not that important anymore. He wanted to tell First Ancestor that he had created the legend of an Overlord body, but he thought about it and felt that he would end up getting beaten up if he spoke the truth. Not only would the past human emperors beat him, but First Ancestor might also be unable to hold himself back as well. Thus, he could only keep it to himself. They came to the riverside. To the past human emperors, Qin Mu and the rest had gone to the heart of the river to have a big fight for a short while. Yet to Qin Mu, he had been away for a month and more on the ship. After daybreak, human emperor Qi Kang and human emperor Yi Shan sensed the power of the celestial river to open up the celestial river divine treasure. This made everyone excited. Since they had succeeded, this meant that celestial river divine treasure could replace divine bridge divine treasure to become the seventh divine treasure. However, the process to replace the divine treasure was probably going to be very long. Cult Master Qin, this celestial river divine treasure, it's created by you. Zhehuali checked on the celestial river divine treasure that both human emperors had opened up and were astonished. Qin Mu was very pleased and said with a smile, I had made a bet with Xu Xinghua to see which one of us is able to open up the new seventh divine treasure first. Whoever wins would be the true Overlord body, whoever that loses would be the beater. At first, I didn't have the confidence in beating him, but I didn't expect Mother Earth, who gave me an Earth Eon Dao fruit. That allowed me to break through life and death wall, and enter life and death realm instantly. Xu Xinghua has extremely high talents, and he will be able to think of what I could think. However, he lost to me in cultivation, and so I had managed to open up Celestial River Divine Treasure ahead of him. Jawali was fascinated and he said, "To have such a Dao friend to continuously whip yourself, it's truly a fortunate thing." He remained behind to comprehend Celestial River Divine Treasure, while Qin Mu packed up to head to the other side of the Celestial River. Since Celestial River Divine Treasure could be opened up, he didn't have to handle the rest of the matters. Eternal Peace Empire would spread out this divine treasure, and Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor would also create a technique to seal Southern Heavenly Gate, allowing the gods of Eternal Peace Empire to cultivate the Celestial River Divine Treasure as well. In the river, Qin Mu brought the dragon Qilin to sit on Dragon Rearing Sovereign's head. Dragon Rearing Sovereign controlled the clouds and flew towards 100 Years Mountain on the opposite end. In the river, the sapphire blue flood Dragon King appeared, and he followed them all the way to the other shore. His speed was extremely fast too. After yesterday's battle, Dragon Rearing Sovereign lifted his head up high, and could even be said to be throwing his weight around. He wanted all of the Dragon Kings and half-gods in the river to know that he had a powerful lord. The sun rose in the east and the sun rays scattered down. Qin Mu looked at the east, and he saw the sun looking as though it had jumped out from the water of the Celestial River. The surface of the river shimmered with gold ripples, as though golden snakes were dancing. Qin Mu and the dragon Qilin cheered and said that it looked beautiful. Next, Qin Mu's face turned dark as he saw that sun rising up from the east becoming warped like an ugly red date. It was indescribably detestable. Ever since Primordial Realm had reappeared, the sky map that stretched for 10,000 miles in the sky could no longer cover eternal peace. The gods maintaining the operation of the astronomical phenomenons were also getting lazier day by day. They also couldn't be blamed. The sky map was 100,000 miles high and 1,000 yards thick. Now that Primordial Realm has resurfaced, there were many majestic mountains that were even taller than the sky, pushing onto the sky map up and down unevenly. This caused the operation of the stars to become messy and made the gods of the celestial heavens flustered. Qin Mu pulled back his gaze and looked at it no more. He suddenly saw the river water churning and an elder with a dragon head slowly rose up from the river with his cane. He stood on the water surface, and behind him were numerous dragon sons and dragon descendants of his. They blocked their way. Divine rays soared into the sky and the divine light lingered on the river. Two of the female dragon transformed into the form of humans. One of the female dragons carried all kinds of shining treasures, while the other female dragon carried teas and snacks. Qin Mu stopped Dragon Rearing Sovereign and said, "Why has Elder blocked my path?" That old Dragon King hurriedly greeted him. "Little Dragon is the Dragon King of this section of Celestial River. Ever since Dragon Hand's Celestial Heavens until now, I have guarded this place for 1,000,000 years, ensuring the operation of Celestial River. Yesterday night, I had seen High God's divine might, and since High God is passing by here today, I'm here to offer my meager gifts." "High God?" Qin Mu laughed loudly and shook his head. "I'm still not a High God. I'm merely a divine arts practitioner that had opened up Celestial River Divine Treasure. I'm still a distance away from the God realm." That old Dragon King agreed with whatever Qin Mu said and replied, "High God must be fatigued, so I'm here specially to offer my meager gifts. These are all produce of Celestial River." Qin Mu jumped down from Dragon Rearing Sovereign's back and landed on the water surface. That old dragon waved his hand and there were immediately shrimp soldiers and crab generals going forward to control the water with their magic power, constructing a palace on the water to let Qin Mu be seated. This palace on the river was formed by the water of the Celestial River, and the tables and chairs were all carved by white jade. Sitting inside, one couldn't felt the harsh sun and cold wind, but they could still see the scenery outside. Qin Mu sat down, and that old dragon king accompanied him. Those two female dragons hurriedly went forward to offer up the treasures and tea. Qin Mu drank the tea, and took a look at the treasure. Dragon-rearing sovereign, keep them first. Dragon-rearing sovereign was delighted and hurriedly kept the treasures of all kinds. Qin Mu took a deep look at the old dragon king in front of him and said, I've already conferred the title of Celestial River Dragon King to Dragon-rearing sovereign. Follow him from today onwards, and I'll ensure your descendants will live peacefully here. That old dragon hesitated and said carefully, High God, dragon-rearing sovereign is wise and strong, but his bloodline isn't pure. Qin Mu laughed and said with a smile, If bloodline had any use, how would I have killed Prince Chiu Ming with a sword? If bloodline had any use, why would Mother Earth had been defeated? That old dragon king didn't dare to speak. Since you have guarded this place for generations, I won't give you any trouble. This section of Celestial River will still be managed by your family. I can smooth wind and rain for this area. You can cause flood willfully to cause harm to the people on both sides of the river. You can enjoy their offerings, but you are not to seize them and enslave them. Qin Mu put down his teacup and walked out of this palace on the water. Dragon-rearing sovereign will make the pact of Little Earth count with you so you can't rebel. I've drank the tea and accept the gift, you can fall back now. After crossing the river, dragon-rearing sovereign will come to look for you. That old dragon king acknowledged his words and the palace on the water dispersed. The old dragon king also vanished with his descendants. Pact of Little Earth count. Dragon-rearing sovereign blinked his eyes and was delighted. He exclaimed to himself, Pact of Little Earth count is even fiercer than Pact of Earth count. I might really become Celestial River Dragon King. He was delighted and carried Qin Mu and the dragon Qilin to continue forward. Not long later, another dragon king brought all kinds of treasures to appear on the river surface, offering fragrant tea. Qin Mu drank the tea and said the same things. He continued forward. On the journey, dragon kinds continuously appeared on the river and offered up treasures. The battle last night was too big of a commotion. The dragon kings upstream and downstream hurried over, and every section of their journey, a dragon king would welcome them, and they were extremely polite. Qin Mu walked and stopped, drinking tea until he was full. When he reached the other shore of Celestial River, it was already in the afternoon. The dragon Qilin whispered and said, Cult Master Qin, because of the disappearance of Ancestral Dragon King, these dragon kings have no more backbone, so they had come to submit with fake intentions. When Mother Earth gives her command, these dragon kings would all rebel. Even though dragon-rearing sovereign's abilities aren't weak, he still can't suppress Celestial River. We need to invite Elder Qing Huang from the dragon village to suppress them. Dragon-rearing sovereign was rather displeased, but what the dragon Qilin said was also facts. Elder Qing Huang was the number 2 heavenly king of founding Emperor Celestial Heavens, and his abilities were merely second to the number 1 heavenly king Dieyue. He surpassed him by leaps and bounds. Elder Qing Huang's abilities were even stronger than Ancestral Dragon King, so he was the most suitable to suppress Celestial River. Even if Elder Qing Huang comes out of the mountain, he won't be able to suppress this river. Qin Mu shook his head and said, As long as Mother Earth gives her command, these dragon kings and half-gods that have submitted to us will rebel. None of them had submitted to us willingly. The dragon Qilin was at a loss and he asked, in that case, why did Cult Master still accept the surrender of all these dragon kings? When these dragon kings rebel and control the water of Celestial River to flood eternal peace, it would be more than enough to turn eternal peace into an underwater empire. They would turn countless people into food for the fishes and prawns. Qin Mu turned back to look at the great waves surging on the river surface, and he said leisurely, I know, I'm only waiting for Mother Earth's command. The dragon Qilin and dragon-rearing sovereign were stunned. When Mother Earth gives her command, these dragon kings and half-gods would rebel. As long as they rebel, they would be going against the pact of Little Earth Count. Qin Mu's face turned dark. If they don't rebel, nothing will happen. If they rebel, in just one night, countless dragon corpses would float on the river surface of this celestial river. Mother Earth's greatest threat to eternal peace will hereby dissolve, and there would be no more danger from the celestial river. From then on, the pact of Little Earth Count will shake the world with its awe. Dragon-rearing sovereign shuddered and didn't dare to think of that sight. In Qin Word land, the big-headed baby was excited and he waited at the stone table, ready for his meal. Qin Mu looked at the 100 Years Mountain in front of him and said, "Dragon-rearing sovereign, go back and sign the pact of Little Earth Count with them. For the half-gods in Celestial River, as long as they have the abilities on the God realm, they have to sign the pact of Little Earth Count. Go. As you command." Dragon-rearing sovereign sank into the water and disappeared. The dark aura on Qin Mu's face vanished as he looked at God Bai Shi on the small dirt mound and he said with a smile, "God Bai Shi, I'm here to see you." God Bai Shi hurriedly greeted and didn't dare to throw any tantrum. However, he still has some grievances. "My lord, was that dragon-rearing sovereign? He is fortunate now that surging river has become so big. My lord, do you think those mountains beside me are tall?" Qin Mu raised his head and saw the mountain range beside 100 Years Mountain stretching for nearly 10,000 miles with mountain peaks that were tall and elegant. There were numerous shrines and temples on the mountain, and there were all kinds of rare strange beasts appearing in the mountains. There was also huge deer that soared on the clouds to fly to and fro. Qin Mu smiled warmly and said leisurely, "From today onwards, this mountain shall change its name to 100 Years Mountain. What do you think about that?" God Bai Shi was surprised and delighted, but he shook his head afterward. "My lord doesn't know about the background of this sunset glow mountain. There is a kingdom of gods that stretches over 10,000 miles and in it are numerous gods. How would they listen to my lord? Taking down this mountain range is impossibly difficult." Qin Mu came to Deer County on the side. He wrote a letter and handed it over to God Bai Shi. "Take my invitation and pay a visit to the mountain god of this mountain. Tell them I will be visiting tomorrow. The mountain god of this mountain would definitely have seen my battle on the mountain yesterday night. He won't cause you trouble once he sees my invitation." Bai Shi was about to go when they heard a bright and clear voice coming from outside the city. "Sunset Glow Mountain 72, Caves Mountain Gods, has come forward to pay our respects to Eternal Peace High God Overlord Body Qin." Qin Mu was astonished and he said with a smile, "These mountain gods are fast. They are no inferior to those dragon kings of the Celestial River. Let them in." God Bai Shi immediately came out of the city to welcome them. After a moment, he saw mountain gods from various mountains coming over to pay their respects with their followers. They had also brought a dazzling lineup of treasures that glowed brightly. Some of these mountain gods grew deer's horns, some of them grew tigers' heads, and some also had branches on their heads. Their appearances and races were different. Qin Mu knew that they were only trying to stall and welcomed them with a smile. He got God Bai Shi accept the present and said, "Mountain gods have guarded the mountains of eternal peace and credit for guarding the empire. As long as you aren't disloyal, I won't treat you badly. I plan to change this mountain's name to 100 Years Mountain and establish honored God Bai Shi as the main god of Sunset Glow 72 Peaks. What do you guys think about this?" Sunset Glow Mountain 72, Caves Mountain Gods, looked at one another in dismay and gave off looks of disdain at him. They looked down on him. One of the mountain gods walked out of the ranks and said, "Sir Qin has come from afar, so you might not know, we, the Sunset Glow Mountain 72, Caves Mountain Gods, actually have a lord. Sunset Glow Mountain is under the jurisdiction of Clear Sky Heaven. Back then when Primordial Realm was sealed, Sunset Glow Mountain was sealed along with Clear Sky Heaven. In the seal, Clear Sky Heaven was still the landlord of Sunset Glow Mountain. We, these mountain gods, are merely looking after the land for our landlord. We usually collect rent from the kingdom of gods in the mountain and take care of the people's livelihood. Another deer-horned mountain god said politely, we, the mountain gods of the 72 caves, had long signed the Pact of Earth Count with Clear Sky Heaven back during High Emperor era, so we can't go against it. May Overlord Body Qin please forgive us. If we go against the pact, we will die immediately. Qin Mu frowned slightly. Since these mountain gods had signed a Pact of Earth Count with Clear Sky Heaven, that would be a very thorny problem. Where is Clear Sky Heaven at? He asked. Numerous mountain gods raised their hands at the sky and Qin Mu raised his head up to take a look. In the sky above Sunset Glow Mountain, there was a green light, like a long rainbow stretching 10,000 miles. The light floated above the mountain without moving. The length of that green light was terrifying, and one couldn't tell that it was a heaven if they looked from afar. Since Sunset Glow Mountain has an owner and you guys have signed the Pact of Earth Count, it wouldn't be good to force you guys. Qin Mu muttered to himself for a moment before saying, in that case, I can only kill you guys. The mountain gods of the 72 caves changed their expressions drastically, and at this moment, a burst of drawn-out laughter came from the sky as a young Daoist in green descended down from the sky while stepping on the green light. The empire is small, but it isn't inferior, the power is small, but it doesn't fear the strong. Rude and ridiculing the big neighbors, greedy and stubborn yet don't know diplomacy, may die out. I heard there are 3 heroes in Eternal Peace Empire's reform. First is Emperor Yang Feng, who has outstanding abilities and grand vision, an emperor for eternity. Second one is Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor, who has his mind over the world, opening up new lands, having the talent that's not from this world. Third one is Overlord Body Qin Mu, Heavenly Saint Cult Master, pushing forward the path of the saint by yourself. I have heard the reputation of the 3 of you, and now that I've met Overlord Body Qin today, only then do I know it hard to live up to your great reputation. Qin Mu laughed loudly and he stood up to say loudly, brother's rebuke is right. May I know where is brother from? That youth in green landed in the city and greeted Qin Mu. From Clear Sky Heaven. I am Yu Chen from Clear Sky Heaven, nice to meet you, Heavenly Saint Cult Master. My Clear Sky Heaven is a branch of Dao Sect. Clear Sky Sect from back, then had 24 kingdoms of gods under our jurisdiction, and this Sunset Glow Mountain is one of them. Qin Mu instantly had a bad expression, as he thought to himself. This is Dao Master Lin Xian's property, it wouldn't be good for me to seize it now. He was slightly at ease. The reason why he had decided to seize Sunset Glow Mountain was because he was afraid of Mother Earth giving the command to slaughter the people of Eternal Peace. Thus he had planned to seize Sunset Glow Mountain. Since Sunset Glow Mountain was a property of Dao Sect, things would be simpler. Honored God by she would just have to suffer a little and continue being a mountain god on the 100 years small mountain. That youth in green had a horsetail whisk on the corner of his elbow and said, May I ask Overlord Body Qin, are you representing Heavenly Saint Cult coming here, or are you representing Eternal Peace Empire? Qin Mu was puzzled. Yu Chen said, if you are representing Heavenly Saint Cult, that would be a fight of Confucian orthodoxy. My Clear Sky Heaven is Clear Sky Sect, so we will fight with cult teachings, fight with spells and divine arts. If you are representing Eternal Peace Empire, my Clear Sky Heaven will gather the soldiers from our 24 kingdoms of gods, laying out our soldiers in formations to have the 2 armies fight in front of the formations. Qin Mu yawned and smiled. Senior brother Yu Chen, Dao Sect is also in Eternal Peace. Dao Sect's Dao Master Lin Xian is my bosom buddy. Since we are one big family, there will be no need for war. Yu Chen shook his head and said, Dao Sect of the lower bound is not orthodox. Dao Sect in the celestial heavens in then the orthodox Dao Sect. Eternal Peace Empire's Dao Sect can't even be considered a branch. It is merely built by those wandering disciples stranded from the orthodox Dao Sect. Qin Mu's heart stirred and he asked, "Since you guys don't recognize Dao Master Lin Xian, do you recognize Dao Ancestor of Dao Sect?" Yu Chen said solemnly, "Dao Ancestor is the beginning of Dao Sect. He is the ancestor of all Dao, of course, we have to recognize him." "Is Dao Ancestor in clear sky heaven?" Qin Mu asked. Yu Chen shook his head, and he was slightly impatient. "So does Overlord Body Qin wants to fight, or make peace?" Qin Mu muttered to himself, and shook his head with a smile. "You as a Daoist is too hot-tempered. Dao Sect cultivates one's moral character, and spiritual cultivation. I don't know where have all your cultivation gone to. Is Dao Ancestor in clear sky heaven?" Yu Chen frowned and was about to speak, when auspicious clouds soared in the sky. In the cloud was a white dragon, that moving its body as it flew past. The cloud suddenly stopped and Daoist Lin Xian's voice came from the back of the dragon. He cried out in astonishment, "Cult Master Qin, why are you here?" The cloud floated down and landed in the city before dispersing. Dao Master Lin Xian and Daoist Cha jumped down from the back of the dragon. Lin Xian grabbed the tail of that dragon and gave it shake. The white dragon transformed into a horsetail whisk that he laid gently on the corner of his elbow. Daoist Cha looked at the 72 mountain gods before looking at Yu Chen. He whispered and asked, "Another fight?" Qin Mu shook his head gently and said, "Not a fight, it's a discussion. This Daoist here is from your Dao Sect's Clear Sky Sect. These mountain gods are also helping your Dao Sect's Clear Sky Sect to look after their property. Dao Master Lin, I think the tax that Eternal Peace Empire had implemented on your Dao Sect is too low. One branch of Dao Sect has 24 kingdoms of gods, how terrifying." Dao Master Lin Xian had a grim expression and he said softly, "The purpose of my visit is also because I have heard that a certain Clear Sky Sect is a branch of Dao Sect, therefore I want to take a look." Daoist Cha examined Yu Chen and asked bewilderedly, "Is Clear Sky Heaven really a branch of Dao Sect?" Yu Chen shook his head and said, "My Clear Sky Heaven is a branch of Dao Sect, but it's not the branch of that Dao Sect of yours. Your Dao Sect in Eternal Peace is not the true Dao Sect. The true Dao Sect is in the celestial heavens. Eternal Peace's Dao Sect is fake." Dao Master Lin Xian looked down at his heart and said, "True or fake, they are all Dao Sect. I wonder if I can head to Clear Sky Heaven and pay a visit to the seniors of Dao Sect. I have yet to pay my respects to Dao Ancestor, so I would like to meet him as well." Yu Chen hesitated for a moment. "It's fine for you to go, but don't get carried away by your wishful thinking. Your Dao Sect in Eternal Peace is nothing at all. You don't have the true teachings, or even any foundation at all. Furthermore, Dao Ancestor is also not in Clear Sky Heaven. I heard he is in the celestial heavens." Daoist Cha sneered and said, "We are nothing at all. Little Daoist, when I started cultivating with the old Daoist in my early years, you weren't even born. You should at least know that our Dao Sect also had our glory during founding emperor era." Yu Chen shook his head and said, "Dao Sect of founding emperor era was fake to begin with. It was established by the abandoned disciples of Dao Sect. It isn't orthodox." Daoist Cha laughed from anger, and he was about to retort when Dao Master Lin Xian shook his head. "There's no need to quarrel what's real and fake with him. Dao is real, so Dao Sect can't be fake." Daoist Cha was stunned for a moment before he praised, "Dao Master is broad-minded, no wonder you can be Dao Master." Dao Master took leave from Qin Mu and Qin Mu hurriedly said, "I am also old friends with Dao Ancestor. Wait a moment for me. I'll get someone to call my brother Yu over. I'll go to Clear Sky Heaven with you. My reputation is widely known and I have a big face. With me around, they won't cause any trouble for you." Dao Master Lin Xian grumbled internally while Daoist Cha also kept throwing him glances, signaling him to leave immediately. However, Lin Xian was still Dao Master, and he didn't have a thick face after all. Moreover, his relationship with Qin Mu was also rather good, so he didn't know what to do. Heavenly Saint Cult Master, nickname Demolisher Qin, demolishing everything wherever he goes. He is also called Disaster Qin, wherever he goes, disaster follows. He is also called Beater Qin, beating people up wherever he goes. Dao Master Lin Xian pondered hard. How should I reject him? He has such a thick face, I probably can't reject him. With a face full of smiles, Qin Mu got God by Shi to instruct Dragon Rearing Sovereign to ferry Celestial Venerable Yu, who was on the other shore over. God by Shi hurried over, and after an hour, Dragon Rearing Sovereign carried Celestial Venerable Yu and the water Qilin over to Deer County. Qin Mu's spirit was greatly aroused, and he said softly to Celestial Venerable Yu, I shall bring you to meet an old friend. That old Daoist received benefits from you and me in his early years. It's time for us to reap the interest. Celestial Venerable Yu was at a loss. Old friend. Qin Mu hurried them and said, Dao Master, and also Senior Brother Yu Chen, let us go. Let us quickly go to clear sky heaven, the sky is almost dark. Daoist Yu Chen also frowned. Why is this overlord body Qin acting so familiar? As they were about to leave, God by Shi smiled apologetically and asked, My lord, about 100 Years Mountain. Qin Mu gave it some thought and said, Sunset Glow Mountain is Dao Sect's property, you will just have to suffer a little and stay here temporarily. If you are starving, get Dragon Rearing Sovereign to give you some food to get by. Dragon Rearing Sovereign is prospering, he is Celestial River Dragon King now. God by Shi wanted to cry, but he had no tears. He looked at Dragon Rearing Sovereign, and saw Dragon Rearing Sovereign looking rather pleased. Qin Mu sat on the Dragon Qilin's back, and sacred flames burst out under the Dragon Qilin's feet. Stepping on fire clouds, he followed after Daoist Yu Chen, Dao Master Lin Xian, and the rest. Beside him, Celestial Venerable Yu sat on the water Qilin, and was hesitating for a moment. He finally made a decision and asked, Brother, does this old friend knows about my birth? I know I'm picked up, but I want to know where my biological parents are. Qin Mu pondered and said, he should know. Even though he is younger than you, he isn't much younger. In terms of age, he is also considered one of the oldest among the human race, merely younger than the 7 Celestial Venerables. He should know a lot of things. Celestial Venerable Yu's spirit was roused. They flew into the green light, and the green light in front of their eyes faded away. In front of their eyes was clear sky heaven, and when Qin Mu turned back to look, the sun was already setting. This sun hung up high in the sky. He looked up at the sky, and the sun in the sky wasn't the true sun. It was created by the Taoists here, and there were numerous Taoists that could be seen flying in and out from that sun. Daoist Lin, your Dao Sect's branch has extremely high attainments in algebra. Qin Mu said to Dao Master Lin Xian. Dao Master Lin Xian was very happy, and he said with a smile, Everything in this world can be described with algebra, and since my Dao Sect is specialized in the Dao of algebra, we naturally have quite the attainments. His mood was much more optimistic. He looked around and nodded his head repeatedly. There were numerous mountains and rivers in the terrains, however this place was too big. It was equivalent to Eternal Peace Empire in the past, stretching 100,000 miles in radius. Even if the place was small, it still contained the essentials. Qin Mu actually saw a man-made moon and a man-made galaxy. The moon and the stars in the galaxy weren't huge, those stars were circular, and merely 300 yards big. On many of the stars was a palace each. Those stars could fit a palace precisely, and one more palace made it seemed too squeezy. Those Taoists were currently roaming in the galaxy, and changing the locations of the stars, forming star formations. Beside them were also some elderly Taoists, teaching them how to lay their formation. Looking at the general overview of the sky, the formation of the stars, constellations, and galaxy could form the shape of a majestic god. The two galaxies formed the eyes of the god, the nebula formed the vein lines of the skin, and the stars formed the structure of the corporeal body. Heaven Duke. Qin Mu clicked his tongue in wonder and said with a smile, "Clear sky heaven actually used the stars to forge the shape of Heaven Duke. This kind of standard in algebra is truly superior." Yu Chen said, "This is natural. Our Dao sect is skilled in algebra, and this is why the celestial heavens view us importantly, letting us deduce the Heaven Dao and breaking down the structure of Heaven Duke's corporeal body. The Taoists of our clear sky heaven also frequently go to Xuandu to measure Heaven Duke's body structure. There are many disciples of Dao Sect on Heaven Duke's body." The corner of Qin Mu's eyes twitched violently. The celestial heavens let Dao Sect deduce the Heaven Dao and measure the structure of Heaven Duke's corporeal body. Moreover, they were even constructing Heaven Duke's corporeal body with stars in clear sky heaven, so what was the celestial heavens planning to do? He had a bad feeling in his heart. Replacing him. Heaven Duke is in danger. After getting rid of Heaven Duke, the celestial heavens wants to create another Heaven Duke. Even though your eternal pieces Dao Sect is considered nothing at all, it is still a tiny branch from the true Dao Sect. Yu Chen said to Lin Xian, "Since we are from the same sect, therefore I allow you to meet your ancestors." Daoist Cha raised his eyebrows and was rather displeased. Dao Master Lin Xian said, "Many thanks, senior brother Yu Chen." Yu Chen looked at Qin Mu and he frowned slightly. "As for Overlord Body Qin, you really shouldn't have followed me to clear sky heaven. Heavenly Saint cult is also called Heavenly Devil cult. Subjugating devils is the responsibility of Dao Sect. Furthermore, eternal peace is also a target that the celestial heavens wants to exterminate." Qin Mu looked at the sky and his gaze fell on Heaven Duke's body. He said with a smile, "Whether if an official business or personal business, I needed to come. If I didn't, the world is going to change." Yu Chen looked at him and felt his words held deep meaning, but he didn't think much about it. "Dao Palace is over there, let me bring you to meet the sect master of my clear sky heaven. As for whether the sect master will be willing to meet you, I do not know." Dao Palace was located in the heart of clear sky heaven, and there were mountains standing in numbers around it. There were also 24 palace halls that surrounded Dao Palace, and these 24 palace halls should be corresponding to the 24 kingdom of gods under clear sky heaven. Clear sky heaven was clear sky sect, which was a branch of Dao Sect that had become large scale. Dao Sect definitely still had other branches, so one could well imagine how astonishing the power of the true Dao Sect was. Everyone came to the outside of Dao Palace, and they got down their mounts. Yu Chen let them wait outside, while he hurriedly scaled up the steps and headed for the Golden Palace at the peak. Those stone steps were built along the mountain, and the numbers of steps were uncountable as they looked up the mountain. This is how they treat their guests. Daoist Cha smiled from anger, and he pulled out a military fork from his Dao crown. "We are still from Dao Sect after all, and even if we aren't orthodox, there's no reason to throw us out here. Dao Master, let us fight our way in and turn their palace upside down first." Lin Xian waved his hand and said, "Since we are guests, we shall follow the host's decision. We can just take a look around." This Dao Palace was extremely huge, and there were numerous Daoists cultivating Dao skills. Qin Mu and the rest came to where the Daoists were training, and they saw numerous Daoists standing in front of a copper wall that was over dozens of yards thick, as an old Daoist explained slowly to them. "All things in the world are formed by countless particles. It's the same for a human body, it's the same for a copper wall. As long as you are able to see through that, You can change the structure of your body to vibrate the particles at the same frequency as the copper wall. That way you will be able to pass through the wall. Cultivating the art of passing through walls, any forbidden skills, any seals, will be of no trouble to you. Look at me. He walked to the front of the copper wall and slowly walked in. He passed through the wall and came out from the other side of the wall before returning back. You can give it a try. The other young Taoists were all excited and went up to try. Some blooded their forehead from crashing onto the wall, but there were also some that managed to pass through. That old Taoist narrowed his eyes and looked at these young Taoists cultivate. He would point out their mistakes from time to time. The dragon Qin looked curiously at this sight, and couldn't resist saying, "Elder, you have one disciple missing. There were 17 earlier, and now only 16 are left." The old Taoist counted, and he was instantly flustered. He hurriedly smacked the copper wall with a heavy blow, and an inexperienced Taoist that was stuck inside the wall got smacked out by him. He gasped heavily for breath, and had nearly died. That old Taoist looked at the dragon Qin and praised. "You have the root of wisdom. Are you willing to join my clear sky sect and cultivate with me?" The dragon Qin shook his head. The art of passing through walls from Dao Sect seemed slightly similar to Heavenly Saint Cult's phantom illusion technique. It's also similar to Grandpa Cripple's heaven pilfering sun switching hand. Qin Mu looked over it and said to Celestial Venerable Yu, "It's just slightly different in using the reasoning. As long as the principles were understood, it isn't too difficult to learn." Celestial Venerable Yu was tempted to try and he said, "I've understood it. Can I give it a try?" Qin Mu nodded. Celestial Venerable Yu walked to the front of the copper wall and passed through the wall. He then walked back as well. That old Taoist's eyes lighted up and he said with a smile, "This little brother has the root of wisdom." Qin Mu hurriedly pulled Celestial Venerable Yu away, and they came to the other side of Dao Palace. Some of the Taoists were gathered and drafting a map on a huge circular platform. Qin Mu moved forward to take a look and his expression changed drastically. He asked solemnly, "Senior brothers, are you guys drafting the sky map of the stars? Your eyesight is not bad, you the disciple of which kingdom of gods?" One of the Taoists raised his head and asked. Taoist Lin Xian went forward and his expression changed drastically when he saw that formation. The sky map that shroud eternal peace is made by clear sky heaven. Those few Taoists were stunned. The sky map that they were drafting was completely the same as the sky map in the Sky of Eternal Peace Empire. The orbit of the stars in the formation diagram was exactly the same. Qin Mu, Lin Xian were all senior figures in Heaven Alliance, and the reason why they established Heaven Alliance was to tear down the fake sky, so the people of eternal peace could see the outside world. Dao Master of Eternal Peace Dao Sect had never been able to cultivate the 14th writing of Dao Sword. He had exhausted his life for the 14th writing of Dao Sword and spent all his effort on deducing it. Lin Xian's master, the old Dao Master, had only cultivated half of the move after spending his whole life studying it. The reason old Dao Master had died in God-broken mountain range was also because he didn't manage to cultivate the 14th sword. If he had, he wouldn't have to die in battle. It was because the astronomical phenomenon in the sky was fake. It had misled the past Dao Masters, and no matter how they calculated, the result would always be fake. That was why they couldn't cultivate the 14th writing. It was also because of this sky map that Lin Xian's Dao heart had also crumbled and went crazy on the spot. Luckily for him, Qin Mu, Xu Xinghua and the rest were beside him, and it was them who had encouraged him. That was how he had walked out of the shadow. Now that he saw the sky map, which the Taoists of clear sky heaven were drafting, this caused his Dao heart to stir once again. His heart was filled with anger. Incomparably intense anger. Those few Taoists examined Qin Mu and Lin Xian. One of the Taoists then said with a smile, you mean that sky map above primordial realm? It is indeed drafted by my Dao Sect. My Dao Sect is drafting the sky map on the celestial heavens orders to cover the sky of primordial realm. However, because they had created it in a hurry back then, many flaws have now appeared. We are planning to repair the sky map this time, and patch the places that are lacking. The other Daoist said, the celestial heavens ordered Dao Sect to draft the sky map, and so the seniors of our Dao Sect had designed a few misconceptions that have endless calculations for the sky map. If the people of primordial realm observed the astronomical phenomenon and tried to calculate the marvel of the courses in the astronomical phenomenon, they will sink into an endless calculation. Thus, even though there are flaws in the sky map, these endless calculations can exhaust the intelligence of those outstanding talents, causing them to never find out that the astronomical phenomenon is fake. To be able to see that we are drafting the sky map, your attainments in algebra aren't shallow as well. Which kingdom of gods are you from? Dao Master Lin Xian gritted his teeth, and blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth. The guest from the celestial heavens this time said that the sky map is damaged and wants us to repair it. Once the repairs are complete, nobody will be able to see any flaw anymore. Those Taoists said with a smile. Crunching sounds came from Dao Master Lin Xian's teeth, and he said emotionlessly, Cult Master Qin, please return. This is the personal business of my Dao Sect. Qin Mu took a glance at him and shook his head. This isn't the personal business of Dao Sect, it is the official business of Heaven Alliance. Isn't the goal of Heaven Alliance at the start to tear apart this fake sky? Dao Master Lin Xian spat out the blood and cracked teeth from his mouth and chuckled. Sky map, sky map. The sky map, that had destroyed my Dao Sect for 20,000 years, is actually made by our own Dao Sect. Master, are you seeing this from the heavens? He bawled and 2 streaks of blood flowed down his cheeks. Swang. The Dao sword before him unsheathed and the sword light rushed into the clouds. Suddenly, Qin Mu placed his hand on his shoulder. The Elder of Heaven Alliance isn't so bad at holding his temper back, right? Qin Mu smiled warmly. Dao Master Lin Xian looked at his warm gaze and his furious Dao heart calmed down. He closed his eyes and after a moment, the sword chi that was rushing into the clouds returned back into the sheath. Qin Mu turned around and looked at those bewildered Daoists. He revealed an innocent smile and asked, May I know where is the emissary from the celestial heavens? Those few Daoists were subconsciously infected by his smile and weren't suspicious of him at all. They pointed to the top of Dao Palace and said, The emissaries from the celestial heavens are right in Dao Palace. They have high positions, so the sect master is receiving them personally. Qin Mu hurriedly gave his thanks and looked at the formation diagram on the circular platform. His heart stirred and he said with a smile, This formation diagram is only the formation for the courses of the astronomical phenomenon. The formation used for each of the astronomical phenomena, for example, the sun, the moon, would definitely be even more complicated. The course of every star is different and the power in every star is also different, thus the formations would be different. Senior brothers have truly been working hard. Truth to be told, I am also rather skilled in algebra, so I can help everyone solve some problems. One of the Taoists shook his head. The formation of the stars are already laid out, there's no need to redesign it. Now, we just need to calculate the sky map and patch the holes in it. Another Daoist shook his head and said, You didn't hear them clearly just now. The emissaries of the celestial heavens had planned for us to recreate the sky map, and for us to incorporate the divine art of the astronomical phenomenon in as well. I see. That Daoist said with a smile. That's why those senior brothers of Dao Sanctuary are so hard working these few days and burying their heads in work. Turns out they are designing the formations of the sky map. Another Daoist smiled and said, I have asked the sect master, and he said that we have to incorporate the divine art of the astronomical phenomenon into the sky, so in case countries like eternal peace appears from today onwards, or if anyone from the lower bound tries to rebel, there would be no need to ask the four deities for help. We can just activate the sky map to descend the disasters. Even though the celestial heavens doesn't look down on a small country like eternal peace, and can't bother themselves with them, it is indeed troublesome if they have to go and clear them up time and time again. Recreating the sky map saves a lot of time. No wonder so many people have come from the celestial heavens this time. Many of them seem to be under the main gods of the various stars. They are their disciples. Not only that, the disciples of four deities are also here. They are all at Dao Sanctuary, and guiding the senior and junior brothers on how to design the formation of the astronomical phenomenon. The corner of Qin Mu's eyes twitched. He held back the urge to pull out his sword and kill these Taoists. By incorporating the divine art of astronomical phenomenon into the sky map is truly evil. If the sky map is done, eternal peace will have no way to survive. Not only will eternal peace have no way to survive, but the eras from today onwards will also not have any power to rebel. They will not have any possibility of threatening the celestial heavens. The mastermind is the people from the celestial heavens. There's no use killing these Taoists. Qin Mu thought until here and asked, "Senior brothers, where is Dao Sanctuary?" One of the old Taoists raised a finger and said, "Dao Sanctuary is in front of Dao Palace. The emissaries are in Dao Palace, and the subordinates are in Dao Sanctuary." Qin Mu gave his thanks, and threw Dao Master Lin Xian a glance. Both of them left this place. Dao Master Lin Xian asked him, "Cult Master Qin, what are you planning?" Qin Mu raised his head to look at Dao Sanctuary that was up the mountain. He said solemnly, "To kill people." Dao Master Lin Xian was silent for a moment. "We have yet to meet the sect master of Clear Sky Sect. Are you just going to kill people straight away?" Qin Mu frowned and asked, "You are still harboring any hopes for Clear Sky Sect Master?" Dao Master Lin Xian shook his head and said emotionlessly, "I originally had, but after seeing the sky map, I have no hopes anymore. There's no greater sorrow than a dead heart." He had harbored the thoughts of meeting a fellow sect with the same principles, but after seeing the sky map, his Dao heart was struck down heavily again. Lin Xian sorted out his feelings and said righteously, "If you kill the people from the celestial heavens, you won't live to walk out of Clear Sky Heaven. Once these people created the sky map, no matter if it's eternal peace or primordial realm, everyone's fate will be sealed. If we are in the hands of the celestial heavens, we would truly have no way out." Qin Mu said calmly, "Back then when we measure that the sky was 100,000 miles high and 1,000 yards thick, we had established Heaven Alliance. Didn't Heaven Alliance exist for the sake of overthrowing this sky? The chance is right in front of us now. As for our safety, we can put that behind us for now. We will talk about safety after we settle what we need to do." Dao Master Lin Xian was infected by his heroism, and he revealed a smile. "Cult Master Qin, even though you and I are good friends, I always had some prejudice about you. I feel your conduct is eccentric, just like the conduct from those of the Devil Path. Even though I felt you are from the Devil Path, I don't know why, but I just admire you very much. I even fantasize of me being able to do something like you can, to not be overcautious and think about the consequences." Qin Mu laughed loudly. "Dao Master Lin, do you still have the struggle of righteous and devil?" Lin Xian said with a smile, "I have been receiving such teachings from young, so it is hard for me to change completely. However, after meeting Cult Master Qin, I don't view what's called the righteous path and the devil path as important anymore. Even though I feel what Cult Master Qin does are eccentric, I can see you have the heart of a newborn. When I saw this, the difference between righteous and devil becomes even fainter. At many times, I am won over by your actions and how to handle matters." Qin Mu praised and said, Old Dao Master is truly wise to choose you as the next Dao Master. For Heavenly Devil Patriarch to choose you as Heavenly Saint Cult Master, he is then truly the wise one. Both of them laughed loudly and scaled up the stone steps. TP talked cheerfully and wittily. They came to Dao Sanctuary unconsciously, and there were layers and layers of palaces in Dao Sanctuary. Several old Taoists came out in a fluster and shouted, "Thief, thief! Green Goat Hall has been robbed, many treasures got stolen." Qin Mu stopped in his footsteps and stopped an old Daoist to ask, "Elder, has a thief came to Clear Sky Heaven?" That old Daoist nodded his head. "I don't know what had happened, but that thief seemed to have cultivated our art of passing through walls. The seals of Green Goat Hall were completely untouched, but the treasures inside were all stolen. There are also a few Taoists that had their clothes stripped off and hung onto the trees. They were even tied up by their own gold dragon rope, so they can't break free. This thief has appeared among us, it's definitely a disciple of our sect." Qin Mu was stunned. Suddenly, that old Daoist turned back and examined them before asking cautiously, "Your faces are unfamiliar, where are you from?" Qin Mu said with a smile, "I'm Eternal Peace Overlord Body, Heavenly Saint Cult Master, Grand Chancellor of Eternal Peace Empire Heavenly Saint Academy, Qin Mu. This is Eternal Peace Empire Dao Sect's Dao Master. We heard that Clear Sky Sect was a branch of Dao Sect, so we are here to visit." That old Daoist looked at them from the left and right before circling twice around them. He sneered and said, "So you are the poor relatives from the countryside here to claim riches and honor. I guess you won't have the abilities as well." Qin Mu smiled and kept quiet. That old Daoist hurriedly left, and Qin Mu was suddenly stunned. He touched his waist urgently, and his expression changed drastically. He was about to chase after that old Daoist, but that old Daoist was long gone. Qin Mu stopped and the corners of his eyes twitched. Dao Master Lin Xian asked bewilderedly, "What happened, Cult Master Qin? One of my Dao Tai Sac is missing." Qin Mu's face turned green and he gritted his teeth. It was stolen by that old Daoist earlier. Lin Xian jumped in shock and he asked, "This kind of method isn't what a half-god of primordial realm could do. Instead, it seems like the work by an elder of Cult Master." However, that old Daoist didn't look like Cult Master Qin's elder. "Wait a minute, I seem to have lost something as well." Daoist Cha hurriedly touched his body and cried out in astonishment, "The fork in my Dao crown is missing. My spirit pills are much lesser," cried the dragon Qilin sorrowfully as though he had lost his family. The water Qilin's expression changed and hurriedly flipped through his spirit pills, but they were still there. Suddenly, he came to his senses. "Where's my master? He was still on my back, how did I lose him?" Everyone hurriedly looked and Celestial Venerable Yu who was on the water Qilin's back had vanished without a trace. When did Celestial Venerable Yu vanish? None of them actually noticed anything. Everyone felt apprehensive. Qin Mu took in a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. He sneered and said, "When the old thief strikes, he never returns empty-handed. Since he is often a thief, he never shows anyone his true face. His art of changing appearance is superior, being able to shift his bones and change his face, changing his height and weight. In addition to the creation technique, I had taught him, even if he transform into a woman and stand in front of me, I wouldn't be able to recognize him." Dao Master Lin Xian had a queer expression and he coughed. "My Dao Sect is also frequent by this senior. How worrisome, he will be caught and have his legs broken sooner or later." Qin Mu couldn't hate him, and just continued to walk to Dao Sanctuary. This old thief has stolen throughout eternal peace, and act like Samaritans with Grandpa blind daily as though they had turned into a new leaf. Now that primordial realm has broke out of the seal, he must be the happiest. No wonder I didn't meet him in the capital city earlier, clear sky heaven must not be the first to have suffered from his lethal hands. This old thief must have stolen from God knows how many sacred grounds and heavens. That's right, what have you lost? Dao Master Lin Xian's face turned black, and he didn't say anything. However, looking from the queer way he was walking, his underwear must have been stolen by the old Daoist earlier, so he didn't have the face to say. Just as they entered Dao Sanctuary, a bunch of Daoists came running out and they cried out, "Have any of you seen those few old Daoists?" After they came, our Dao Sanctuary seems to have lost a number of items, even the guests from the celestial heavens got robbed. Qin Mu raised a finger. Those few Daoists ran over there. Many thanks. The bunch of Daoists swarmed out, overflowing with killing intent. Find those few old Daoists and break their legs first so they can't run. Those few old Daoists are all senior uncles of Dao Palace. Do we also have to break their legs? Since they dared to steal from my Dao Sanctuary, they should have their legs broken. Soon, few people were left in Dao Sanctuary, and only some oddly-looking half-gods were left. They were currently looking at them. Qin Mu turned around and got the Dragon Qilin and the Water Qilin to keep a lookout outside Dao Sanctuary, while he closed the gate to Dao Sanctuary. He smiled at these half-gods and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am Qin Mu, one of the 3 heroes in Eternal Peace's reform. I'm also known as Eternal Peace Overlord Body, Heavenly Saint Cult Master. This person beside me is Dao Master Lin Xian of Eternal Peace Dao Sect. Have any of you heard about our titles?" Those half-gods had the image of various ancient star gods. Saturn Sovereign's disciples had human heads and snake bodies. Mars Sovereign's disciples have bull heads and human bodies. Great Sun Sovereign's disciples had bird heads and 3 legs. They were all different and rarely would they have a complete human form. These half-gods swept their gaze over Qin Mu and Dao Master Lin Xian. The half-god with a wolf head and human body should be the disciple of Wood Wolf of Kuei Star Sovereign, and he said nonchalantly, "Eternal Peace Overlord Body Qin. I've never heard of you before." In the remaining Dao Tai sack on Qin Mu, his sword pellet slowly rose up, and he grasped it gently. The sword pellet transformed into a horsetail whisk in his hand and he had a face that was full of smiles. "Everyone here is about to hear of me, but it shall also be the last time you will hear of me." Dao Master Lin Xian threw away his horsetail whisk and pulled out his sword. Sword light scattered out, and it was instantly the 14th writing of Dao Sword. Dao nourishes the earth of all heavens, giving birth to all laws, and the whole world will return to one. At the same time, the sword pellet in Qin Mu's hand expanded in the wind. Threads of horsetail whisk stretched out furiously, and the fine swords were like slender dragons that instantly became dozens of miles long. They pierced through every single corridor and palace inside of Dao Sanctuary. With the hair of the horsetail as swords, every thread was executing a different sword skill. Since Daoist Cha had lost his military fork, he could only help them suppress the situation. In Dao Sanctuary, angry roars rang out non-stop, and apparitions of stars and constellation rose into the sky above Dao Sanctuary. Just as they rose up and transformed into a galaxy, a magnetic force burst forth, and pulled the galaxy down from the sky to smash ruthlessly onto the ground. None of them could actually escape from Dao Sanctuary. After a moment, everything was calm again. Qin Mu opened up the gate of Dao Sanctuary, and he walked out with Lin Xian behind him. Daoist Cha followed behind both of them and turned around to close the gate. From the gaps of the gate, fresh blood slowly poured out. Part 327 and 328 end here. Thank you for watching.